Yo, what up, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. New York Giants minicamp wrapped up last week. They actually only had 2 practices because the third practice was canceled, and Brian Daboll held a cookout for all of the players. So that was pretty cool from Brian Daboll. So in today's show, I'm going to go through 3 winners from Giants minicamp as well as 3 losers. I think it's important for me to say this. There are no losers in minicamp, and there really aren't any winners. It's non-padded practice, it's 7-on-7, it's essentially a passing camp, and there's no contact. So don't be the guy in the comment section that says, that was just due to loser. He makes $1 million and you're on YouTube. If you comment that, you will be a loser for sure. Let's start though with my number 1 winner for Giants minicamp. I have Parris Campbell as the number 1 winner coming out of camp. I love everything I've read about Campbell. I think he's going to be a great player, and I think he's has a really defined role in this Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka offense, and we'll talk about that. But Parris, according to Dan Duggan of The Athletic, had the most catches from Daniel Jones at camp, and that's what you want to see. You want to see a new guy like Parris Campbell, who's new to the Giants after signing an NFL free agency from the Indianapolis Colts, start to get that chemistry down with Daniel Jones. Campbell talked about how earlier in the offseason, Daniel Jones orchestrated kind of a guys camp, wide receiver passing camp down in Arizona. And Campbell said that really got him off to a quick start and being a good teammate. And that's what you like to see. Obviously, the Giants don't have that number 1 wide receiver, that alpha wide receiver, even though I do think it will be Darren Waller. I think Campbell could be a guy that potentially leads this team in receptions outside of Waller if he does end up playing 15 or 16 games, because that's really been the Achilles heel of his career, is the fact that he's not been able to stay available, and durability has been a problem. I also like what I'm hearing from camp that Parris Campbell got some work with the running backs for the New York Giants. No, I don't expect Parris Campbell to be getting a lot of touches in between the tackles. But go back to last minicamp. What 2 wide receivers were working with the running backs from time to time? Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson, which tells me Campbell's going to be a guy that's being used in a whole bunch of motions. He's going to be lined up all over the field. He's going to be getting those jet sweeps, those little pop passes from Daniel Jones in the shotgun. The Giants are going to try to put the ball in the hands of Parris Campbell, the former 2nd-round pick out of Ohio State. The guy is built like a running back, and he's hard to tackle at the end of the day. The thing is, like we talked about, hasn't been able to stay healthy. 2019 only played in 7 games. 2020 only 2 games. 2021, 6 games. 2022 he finally played a full season, and he was extremely productive. I think his role kind of limited his production in the sense that he was primarily a short check down guy out of the slot for the Indianapolis Colts, and they also had really bad quarterback play. But he had 63 receptions, but only for 623 yards, and he did have 3 touchdowns. Parris Campbell is my breakout player for the New York Giants. When we look back 6 months, 7 months, 8 months from now, I believe Parris Campbell this year may be what Richie James was last year for the Giants. Richie James was one of the most, I guess you could say, productive receivers for the Giants last year. And we kind of were going through camp last year talking about Richie James had a good day. Richie James was a mini camp winner. I believe that Parris Campbell might be the Richie James for this year, and he's much better of a player than what James is. So I want to ask this question before we roll on in today's show. What wide receiver, don't include Darren Waller, just for the sake of debate, what wide receiver ends the season with the most touchdowns? Comment your answer down below. Another minicamp winner, I believe, is Nick McLeod, the do-it-all DB. He could play outside corner. He could play inside corner. And something that I thought was really intriguing so far this summer is he's getting looks at the starting safety position alongside Xavier McKinney. And you go back last year, the Giants put Nick McLeod on the field a whole lot. And that maybe was something that I kind of brushed to the side a little bit. I didn't understand why they were doing that. They just like him. And they like the versatility that he brings. I think the versatility that McLeod brings could kind of make him the Julian Love replacement for this year. Love what they call him. The nickname for Julian Love was duct tape because he could play strong. He could play free. He could play nickel. He could come play in the slot. And while I think Love is a better tackler than Nick McLeod is, he brings some of that same versatility. While Nick McLeod was predominantly an outside corner in his career up until this point, he played 132 snaps in the slot last year for Big Blue. Had 7 pass breakups, did allow 3 touchdowns, also had 43 tackles, but it's the versatility that I love with McLeod. And he's going to fit in anywhere on this depth chart. He could be the starting slot corner. Darnay Holmes sounds like he may be the new Darius Slayton of this offseason. We'll talk about him. But yeah, he's going to compete with guys like Aaron Robinson, Cordell Slot, a.k.a. Cordell Flott. Those are the guys who's going to be competing for that slot position. But even if he is not the starting slot, maybe let's say that Flott or Robinson wins that job, he's going to get serious looks at the opposite safety next to Xavier McKinney. Pinnock, who has been dealing with some injuries through camp so far, working on the side. But you got Belton. Javarius Owens has looked really good. Bobby McCain had a pick 6. McLeod is going to be on this football team this year, and he's going to be contributing in a major way all over the field. And for that reason and what he showed in camp and that versatility, he is a winner for me. My last winner, I could go all day about guys that were winners, but we'll keep it to 3. I got Darren Waller, man. Everybody you talk to, whether it's Brian Balding or whoever is the Giants tight end coach, Waller is loved inside the Giants building. And whenever you get a new player to a team, you always hear the players talk him up. But it just seems like when they talk about Darren Waller, they put him in a different class. They know that this guy is an absolute stud. The only thing is health. They know that when he is on the field, eyes go to him. 6'5", 200, 55, 65 pounds. Ran a 4.4 at the combine. He's just an absolute freak. I mean, his tight end partner, Daniel Bellinger, called him a unicorn. Bellinger just simply cannot do some of the things that Darren Waller can do. But it wasn't just Bellinger. Daniel Jones has gushed about him, talking about how serious he's taken it, how much of a leader he's been. Everybody that has asked about Darren Waller just shows so much love, appreciation, gratitude, and respect to not only the player, but the person he is as well. And he's a special player, no doubt about it. Last week, I think it was Friday, you can go check it out on the channel. I did a full entire video on Darren Waller talking about the player that he can be and has been in the NFL and the type of role I think he has for the Giants. What I love the most, though, with what the Giants are doing with Darren Waller is they are managing his workload. They know there's no reason for Darren to be involved in every single snap and every single play of the offseason program. Only thing that matters with Mr. Waller is if he is 100% ready to go when the Giants have to take on the Dallas Cowboys in week 1. There's no reason to overwork him in the summer. Just make sure the dude is ready to go week 1, and they're doing their best by a little bit of load management from good old Brian Dable and the Giants coaching staff. We'll get to 3 losers I have from minicamp coming up in a second, but first make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. June and July, it's the dog days of the NFL offseason. But I'm still grinding it out every day trying to get you guys content. Videos every day on the latest Giants news and rumors. Hit that sub button and help us get to 30,000 subs. We'd really, really appreciate it. This one's probably going to get me cursed out in the comment section. But it's just an excuse for me to talk about Saquon Barkley. My number 1 loser is Saquon Barkley because he was the only New York football Giant not at minicamp. Obviously, he's not a loser for what he did at minicamp, and there are no losers at minicamp. But this just gives me a chance to talk about Saquon Barkley. Reports are coming out. There's been really conflicting reports about Barkley coming from Ian Rappaport. Rappaport reported last week that there was a deal back on the table. Then he kind of walked that back and said, I misspoke, and he is saying they are in contact and they are working on a deal. And that's good news, and I believe a deal might get done. And over the weekend, I ran into a New York Giants legend, good old Snacks Harrison. I ran into him. We chopped it up. We dapped it up. And I was like, yo, Snacks, you think they get it done with Saquon Barkley? My man said they ain't got no choice. They got to. So New York Giants legend, Snacks Harrison, he said they're going to get it done. And I do think a deal gets done with Barkley and the New York Giants. Look, when you have 2 parties that are trying to get something done, and they both wanted to get done, Joe Schoen has offered Saquon contract after contract after contract, at least reported contracts, which tells you he wants Saquon to be a Giant. And Saquon has said it time and time again. I want to be a Giant for life. So Saquon wants to be a Giant. The Giants want Saquon to be a Giant. There's both motivation from both sides to get this deal done, and for that reason, I think it does. I think Saquon's going to have to just accept a little bit less, and the Giants are going to have to offer a little bit more than they want to. That deadline, though, July 17th. If not, Saquon's going to have to play or hold out on the franchise tag. So I want to ask you, does a Saquon extension get done before the July 17th deadline? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We don't only cover the New York Giants, though, here at Chat Sports. We pretty much cover everything, and especially the NBA draft. We are the kings of YouTube when it comes to live NBA draft coverage, and I want you guys to be there on Thursday. Go to youtube.com/chatsportstv and subscribe to the mothership and help us get to 400,000 subscribers over on Chat Sports, our main channel. And join us Thursday for every pick of the 2023 NBA draft. Informative, entertaining, and interactive coverage. I can promise you this much. We will not be going to a Taco Bell commercial when potentially an NBA Finals MVP gets selected. So subscribe and join us for all 58 picks. All righty. This one hurts because honestly, Colin Johnson has been a winner all offseason long. He has looked great all summer long. He looked good at OTAs. He looked good at minicamp. But unfortunately, for Colin Johnson, it's a numbers game. And I don't really think there's anything Colin Johnson can do in between the white lines on the gridiron to make this football team. It stinks because he's been killing it. And for that reason, I have him as a loser. He's a great player. They said he's been dominating in practice in the second teams with Tyrod Taylor. He's been the go-to target for Taylor. But the Giants are only going to keep 6, maybe 7 wide receivers. And I believe Hodgins is a lock. I believe Darius Slayton is a lock. I believe Parris Campbell's a lock. And I believe Jalen Hyatt is a lock. That's 4 guys right there. And I believe Wan'Dale Robinson, if healthy, will 100% make the roster. Only chance that Colin Johnson really does have to make this roster is if Shepard or Wan'Dale Robinson or both start the season on the PUP list, and it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So Hodgins, Shepard, Robinson, Slayton, Campbell, and Hyatt. Those are 6 wide receivers right there. You still got Crowder, Johnson, and everybody's favorite next great wide receiver, Bryce Ford, Wheaton. Oh, the Bryce Ford Wheaton hype. It kills me every single time. We got one more loser to talk about from Giants minicamp, but I don't want you to be a loser because this deal of a Giants hat and t-shirt for just $23.99 is not going to last forever. It's flying off the shelf. So get yourself a hat and a t-shirt for $23.99. You're not going to find a better deal. You got to be a subscriber, so subscribe. Then go to chatsports.com/Giants hat combo. That link's clickable in the comments and description. This actually might be the only real loser from Giants minicamp. And it's not because, I guess it is because of the play a little bit. Slot corner, Darnay Holmes. It sounds like Darnay Holmes is the new Darius Slayton of the 2022 summer for the New York Giants. We talked about it time and time again last summer that Slayton is probably not going to make this roster. But he did make it because he had to take a pay cut. That was the only way he was going to stay on this roster. And sounds like the same might be coming for Darnay Holmes. Dan Duggan of The Athletic, who crushes it on the New York Giants beat, says Darnay Holmes could be on the trade block if the Giants can find a taker, or he could wind up in a similar spot as wide receiver Darius Slayton a year ago when the team requested a pay cut at the end of the preseason. There's been some buzz for quite some time about Darnay Holmes not making this roster. The Giants definitely improved that cornerback depth chart the last couple of years, and there's going to be some good competition at that spot. Look, Cordell Flott, Aaron Robinson, Nick McLeod. Those are the guys that are going to be working there. Even Bobby McCain could probably get some work at that slot corner. Holmes is in a tough spot because Aaron Robinson is cheaper and Cordell Flott is cheaper. And you can cut Darnay Holmes and save $2.7 million against the salary cap. And that just might be the cost of doing business for the Giants this year. I think Holmes is still a good player. I would try to trade him, but usually when word gets out that a team is trying to trade a player, you don't really get much back in return. So I think Holmes could be on the outside looking in when it comes to that final 53-man roster. But I'll let you be the GM for today's show. Sit in the seat of Joe Schoen. Will Darnay Holmes make the Giants roster? Type M for make, type C for cut. I want to hear from you down below. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for taking time out of your busy days and just spending a couple minutes with us here on New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. If you want to talk more Giants football, I'm down over on Twitter. So send me a DM at @MarshallGreen_.